Okay, back to the poem. 2 stanzas here, stanzas 8 and 9. They go together. A man is happy if he finds praise and friendship within himself. You can never be sure of where you stand in someone else's heart. A man is happy if he finds good advice within himself. Many men have received bad advice by trusting someone else.
This is an interesting one, or I guess 2 stanzas. It harkens back to a very ancient idea that, at least in the West, you see first, and sort of most popularly from Socrates, in that know thyself. And the reason why you have to know yourself is that you won't be able to be your own friend, and you won't be able to support yourself when others are telling you what you're doing is dumb, or saying they're basically tearing you down. If you watch it like enough, like news, and I don't really recommend that, but like if you any like VH1 behind the music or whatever, like bands are always like, yeah, people thought we were dumb, but we're like, we don't care. We're gonna do our thing, and then they go on and become big rock stars, and then get into drugs and fall apart or whatever. But that's actually kind of similar because they keep doing their own thing, but they go a little too far in that direction. But for here, like, it's that idea that you have to stay true to who you are, and you have to know who you are to be true to that, because you can't always trust other people, and you can't trust their advice, as we see in the second stanza. You don't know that they actually want your happiness and your success. I would say in life, there are very few people who genuinely want you to succeed. And that's sort of how you can tell your friends from just people, is that your friends are genuinely happy when you succeed because they see your success as their own. The high tide raises all boats kind of thing, right? But if you're always looking for that support and that praise and that advice from other people, what you get is not going to be good for you, and it won't. It's not going to help you in the long run.
Yeah, I agree. This one has a lot to it, a lot of layers to it. I like the idea, essentially, that you should, first of all, not go off of, I think, overly negative criticisms. I think what more this is getting at here, the opinions of others in general. Like, I mean, those bands, something like that. I mean, if they just had some people supportive around them, I'm sure that was enough to kind of get off the ground there. And it's really just a call to trust yourself, and if you believe that you're aiming for the right thing, on the right track, that you should go for it, irrespective of what others necessarily think. And definitely, it's descriptive of how other people are. Right? It's not like everyone's advice is going to be bad, and certainly previously here, it's you should listen and you should absorb information. But then I think the idea here is that you should take that information and make your own decision about it. It should not be blindly following the advice or the instructions of someone else. If you a common one, I think that is the idea of a bad order in the army, something like that. If you were to get a bad order, something that you think would result in people dying or something like that, just to get serious about it, it's technically the responsibility of that person to say no, and to make it known why that they don't believe that's correct. And of course, the people above them could just go say, okay, no, do it or you're fired. But maybe that's a case where you have to stand by your convictions. But it's interesting that this is tied to the the last section, where it's all about listening to others and that's how you get wiser. But then it pretty much just says, make your own choice. That's not necessarily saying, in fact, I don't think it's saying make your own bad decision, but make an informed decision yourself. Highly individual, right? Like it's something that is very, very much putting the onus on each individual to take responsibility as well and make their own decision there. So it's a big section with a lot of layers.
For sure. It struck me, just one other thing that I've got written here about these two is basically follow your gut and your intuition. And I think I haven't seen an instance where they steer you wrong. So and I think that's part of that too, is follow your own intuition and your gut. Something else I'm noticing is that, because you mentioned how individualistic this all is. I find that very interesting because it's a tribal society that they're living in, but at some point they realize that the health of the tribe depended on the health of the individual. So here's all these ways that the individual will make the tribe stronger because they're stronger themselves. And I think there's sort of a false dichotomy these days that, individualism or, evil collectivism. I guess evil individualism or evil collectivism. It's like, well, no, they feed into each other if done properly.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing the sort of a way that it's done properly, or at least in a more proper, as good as you can get kind of thing.
Sure. No, it's a great point there. Maybe just the last couple of things that I saw here is just maybe this is a restating of what you said there, but you should do things for your own self-fulfillment. It's not for other people. If you're doing things to impress other people, you're not doing it for the right reasons, in my opinion. And I'll say that it's my opinion, but I think that's meted out here directly. And it's like, if you do something for yourself, I think you'll get much more out of it, because you're not listening to this negative criticism. Like that's not going to matter to you nearly as much. Okay, if someone criticizes you, they're not the person who you care about, right? Who you're not. That's not who you're doing it for. You're doing it for yourself. But then if you get people propping you up and things like that, then those are the people that you want to have around you, and they're
Definitely.
really your friends. So
and. Just when you talk about self-fulfillment, you're not talking about like that sort of airy-fairy, like, I can't even think of it now because I've been reading too much about actual like fulfillment, where you're aiming for the highest good for yourself, but it also has to be the highest good for your family, and it also has to be the highest good for society around you and all that kind of stuff. Like, it isn't like, I don't even know what kind of example to use, but
what I mean, I think you got it right there, though. It's like, no matter what you're doing, if you're always thinking, could I be doing something better? There's a time to go relax and watch some reality TV because you're just burnt out. There's a time for that. I know people who would say that there's never a time for that, but maybe they need to just relax for half an hour. But no, if you're thinking that all the time, I mean, that's going to be a good thing. I think this makes the distinction between doing what is popular and doing what is meaningful. Do what is meaningful, not what is expedient, I think is one of Jordan Peterson's 12 rules. So maybe we can leave that right there. And actually, I was going to bring up another of the 12 rules. We're not just stealing his wisdom. It's good. It's good stuff. We're finding parallels here. The idea is, don't compare yourself with someone else today. Compare yourself to yourself yesterday. Right. So
that's good.
Not ours. But it's a good one, and I think that's here. Don't compare yourself to other people. Don't worry about the criticisms of other people. I mean, okay, if you have the whole world telling you you're doing it wrong. Sometimes they have a point.
Definitely.
But you know, if you have that one negative voice or whatever, it's like, but you believe you're still doing the right thing. Go make yourself better, improve yourself. Don't compare yourself to other people. Just work on your own self-improvement. And maybe that's a better word for it. If you're going for your own improvement, you're doing something that's going to make yourself better, which is therefore going to make the situation better for your family, right? So it's
really make it better on all levels, all the way up. That's
absolutely great little section here. Might be my favorite that we're even going to cover today, actually, but we'll see.